Well, no one's greeted the class with "May the Fourth be with you." We need a couple of people before we get started here. Okay, just want to make sure I got everybody that's come in. Is Christopher Laura here? Okay. Is Sky Williams here? Let's see. I want to make sure, Ricardo, you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Kristen.
I'm here.
Okay. Haley Williams.
I'm here.
Well, we've got two of the groups out of the three here, so we can get started. Hope everybody's weekend went well and that finals are going smoothly. And make make sure nobody else is in the waiting room. Okay, so let's start with group one. That's Ricardo and Kristen. Did you guys talk to each other at all?
We did.
Okay. Do you have a plan? Do you want to, who wants to start first?
We did. We separated it. Like I took support and he took against.
Okay.
So we'll just present those separately.
Okay, so let me just read what the issue is. It says, explain, your group is explain the utilitarian reasons in support of mountaintop removal as a means of coal mining, and then explain the utilitarian reasons opposed to mountaintop removal as a means of coal mining. So why don't we start with support?
Okay.
So, if you got your camera, why don't you go ahead and show your camera?
I do not have my camera up.
Okay.
Sorry. So currently there's two types of mining, which is surface and traditional underground. So mountaintop mining is safer for workers, typically because less workers are needed. As such, they have less of a risk of facing the long-term health risks due to traditional underground mining, which is anything related to mineral dust, radon, and mercury can also cause hearing loss, back injuries, and potentially underground minings can collapse or explode, which can lead to several deaths, unfortunately. And moving on, so with those two options, mountaintop mining seems better for the workers. But moving on, sorry, just trying to get to my next point.
Okay.
So coal right now is one of the most affordable sources of energy. And if we can't get that through underground mining because it is deemed unsafe, the unsafer choice, then mountaintop mining and surface mining is the other alternative. And as coal being one of the most affordable sources of energy, that makes it beneficial to many people. Electricity costs in states that rely upon coal are generally 30% lower than states that rely on other fuels, according to the Mining Association. Mountaintop removal has low operating costs, making it the most efficient and most profitable form of coal mining. Sometimes underground mining is not always an option in other areas. It's not possible to get to the coal through underground mining, so mountaintop mining is the only way possible. And similarly, neither is renewable energy a possibility for some areas. For example, a community on the Coal River Mountain reported from a study to see if the area had potential to generate power from wind farms, but it would require clearing 50 to 100 acres of forest, less than 2% of the proposed mining area, to produce power to 70,000 homes in that area versus mining the area for coal. Currently, coal generates 37% of US energy, which is over 1/3, making it a important industry. Jobs in the mining industry. So there's $26 billion in sales and have paid $13 billion in direct wages, according to the National Mining Association. And that doesn't account for indirectly produced and related jobs. They estimate that there's 3.3 for every job in coal mining. And sometimes companies, whenever they go in for coal mining and mountaintop removal, they help build up infrastructure in the area, providing different infrastructure like police and hospitals and schools for local communities. And land that is removed can be repurposed. So this can create new jobs potentially. They can use the land for green energy purpose, offsetting pollution if that's what they wanted. And it can also be economically beneficial and public use beneficial for areas because they can turn it into different resources. So that pretty much covers all my points. So just to sum it up, it seems safer for the most, it seems safer for more people, and it seems to be less costly, making it more beneficial. And seeing that coal is such a big part of US energy source, creating a low cost for such a big amount of people makes it more beneficial than other sources of coal mining.
Okay. Okay, so Ricardo, you have the argument against.
Okay, I'm going to explain the utilitarian reasons against the continued use of mountaintop removal as a means of coal mining. But first, I want to let you guys know what is a mountaintop removal mining. That is a form of surface mining at the summit or the summit ridge of a mountain. Coal seams are extracted from a mountain by removing the land or overburden above the seams. One of the major problems caused by coal mining is the impact on the environment. Often with coal mining, especially mountaintop mining, valleys are filled with the waste and refuse from the mines. This causes serious environmental damage in the surrounding watersheds. Different environmentalists had stated that burying streams with mine waste increase salt levels in waterways downstream, hurting fish and other aquatic life. Environmentalists also commonly thought that perhaps dumping coal mining waste into river valleys can cause serious flooding. On other point, the mining and burning of coal itself releases the greenhouse gases, gas carbon dioxide, which leads to all sorts of air pollution. Also, a single coal plant generates annually the following: 10,000 tons of sulfur dioxide, which in turn causes harmful acid rain, 500 of tons of airborne particles causing serious respiratory damage to humans and other animals in the area, 170 pounds of mercury, which can pollute fish in surrounding lakes, 225 pounds of arsenic, which, if is ingested, can cause cancer to humans, and over 114 pounds of other deadly chemicals such as lead. So we see that this coal production can create serious problems to humans, not only to animals and the entire environment. So talking to the utilitarianism is always holds that the most ethical choice is the one that will produce the greatest good for the greatest number. So I on my point, I don't think it's good to continue with it. Also, abandoned mountaintop mines drainage can become toxic and seriously impact the surrounding soil, make it unusable. The toxic drainage from abandoned mines also causes runoff, which can greatly impact soil quality. So much that it can take up to 150 years to recover. And talking about the jobs that this mountaintop mines has across the country, the coal mining is not very beneficial for human health, to put it simple. And I check about this West Virginia mine safety web that said that important statistic, nothing that there are less than 20 deaths per year due to mining accident. And they say it's not a very low number for this type of jobs. And in conclusion, I think the serious health problem stemming from coal mining and the money that goes into caring for those affected will be greatly reduced if coal mining were reduced as well. Stopping this coal mining will help a lot to protect animals and humans in the long term. That's basically all. I finish all my points about.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the next two groups, one after the other, and then there'll be some chances if you guys want to bring up issues or questions to each other. That'd be great. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to group two, and this is explaining the rights and justice reasons in support of mountaintop removal and the rights and justice reasons opposed to mountaintop removal. See, Haley?
Okay. So based on a rights side of the CANU, mountaintop removal would not be accepted as long as it does not violate people's rights to be treated as ends. So for example, if mountaintop removal forces people to move from that area, then it would be a violation to their rights to be treated as means. Kant was also known to be anthropocentric and believed that only humans had so-called like intrinsic moral worth and ought to be treated as ends in themselves. Kant also mentions that we have no duty to animals and or the environment, but instead like an indirect duty to them. Basically, mountaintop removal is morally accepted as long as it's for the human good. And then one comment that was mentioned in the module was the Kentucky Coal Association. When they gave their comments about the mountaintop removal, they were kind of applying a Kantian view because they explained that mountaintop removal benefits people by employing them and making it possible for them to provide for their families. Additionally, it is motivated by human good because the flattened land can be used for building schools, housing, and other things that are vital for humans. On a justice point of view, supporting mountaintop removal, it's understood that justice is the proper relationship among the part of society, but also the dominion to meet human needs. The problem is not that humans are removing mountaintops to get coal, because coal is considered an essential source of energy that improves people's lives. The problem is when we don't clean up after ourselves. So it said that justice is based on a genuine need rather than merit or the quality of being worthy. And it's mentioned in the Fill the Earth and Subdue It module that good stewardship is reflected in developing new flat areas to serve human needs. So I would say in the eyes of supporting mountaintop removal on a justice standpoint, it would create an equality because it is meeting human purposes. And that's all I have for the support of mountaintop removal. So moving on into the against mountaintop removal argument. So for the rights reasoning, I used Leopold's land ethics because he said we should treat the interdependent part of the environment as ends, not as means only. And he also said a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. And mountaintop removal would go against what he believed was right for the environment. And then based on deep ecology, it calls for humans to respect the biodiversity of the planet and avoid interfering with the rest of nature except to meet vital needs such as food and shelter. And coal isn't considered a vital need under this definition of deep ecology. So that's what I had for the rights against mountaintop removal. And then for the justice against mountaintop removal, I based it on the Rawls theory of justice. And it said mountaintop removal would not be supported because future generations would not enjoy equal liberty, and the inequality enjoyed by the present generation would not be open to future generations. We should leave the next generation an environment as least as the one into which we were born. And based on the module, it said that coal reserves may only last 200 years. So if we keep using coal and mountaintop removal at the rate we are currently using it, then eventually future generations will not have the equal liberties we had, and they will be born into an environment that would be completely different from the environment in which we were born into. I also mentioned an interesting look into the original position, and I kind of asked myself, and y'all, would society set rules that limited the uses of mountaintop removal, or would they completely come up with a different way to find coal or other things that wouldn't affect the environment as much? And also the veil of ignorance, we wouldn't know if we were born into the society that had mountaintop removal or coal mining, or born into the society who doesn't have the same liberties, such as no coal at all. So we really need to take that into account about how we would want to set the stage for future generations. And then going off of that, like most of the problems that mountaintop removal causes is they tend to dump rubble into streams and contaminate drinking water and increase flooding and higher rates of health issues, including cancer. So yeah, that's all that I have for against mountaintop removal and supporting mountaintop removal.
Right. Now, can Christopher Laura show up? Okay, Sky, did you contact Christopher at all?
No, I didn't get to contact him at all.
I'm sorry.
No, I have not contacted Christopher.
Okay. So what did you prepare for today then? You're dealing with the ethical or the religious ethical reasons. So did you do the support and the against sides, or one side or the other?
I had the for the supporting of the mountaintop
Okay.
removal for the religious part.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Now I asked the people if they're able to, if you got a camera, to go ahead and turn the camera on so people can see you while you talk about it.
Okay. I guess I'll turn on the camera. Okay. So for the support of the mountaintop removal, the Judeo-Christian views were more was it anthropocentric?
Mhm.
So there's like a whole saying where humans have dominion over animals, and so nature exists only to satisfy humans' needs, and that's why they ended up supporting it. But that was all I had at the moment, so I don't have very much on that part.
Okay. What else do you have?
I mean, there was also the against. I was only able to read up a little bit on that, and the reason for against was the caring for. It was like the opposite, where they cared about nature and the preservation of, like, just being humble and the just preserving the nature and being humble and other virtues.
So, what things in the Jewish and Christian traditions would lead us to care for nature?
Well, and I really didn't get to that part.
Okay. Okay. So then let's all three groups. So there's four of you. Would you like to comment on the views of any of the other three? And we're not worrying here at this point about which moral theory you're working with.
Just something I would like to add to what Ricardo said is that I feel like it's becoming harder to make a utilitarian case for coal even as a source of energy, because I tried looking up to see if coal is cheaper anymore, and the fact is that it's steadily becoming not cheaper. The only reason that it is staying cheaper is because of subsidies. So I feel like it's becoming really hard to make that the utilitarian case for coal as like even economically anymore, especially building whenever the cost of even building new renewable energy sources, those power plants can also stimulate the economy by providing jobs, and also are finding to be, again, more cost effective than continuing to use coal. So although maybe the energy prices are, like I said, are 30% lower in states that use coal, it's a question of whether coal is actually cheaper, or if coal is cheaper because the government is providing certain I don't want to cuts that are making it cheaper.
Okay. Yeah, so what you picked up on is the issue of subsidies that allow coal to be offered cheaper.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really tried to see if it could be less, if it was less costly than renewable energy. And the fact is, like, renewable energy has come so far. I think that it's effectively cheaper than using coal at this point. And you can see this by how coal is dropping in the United States. Like, it's 37%, but a lot of the outdated sources I were seeing were quoting 50% and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's rapidly declining in terms of the need we have for coal.
Yeah.
Okay. Ricardo, do you have anything you wanted to add?
To be fair, not much. I think, like definitely the major problem is when these mountaintop mines are abandoned, because there's a lot of toxic things that can impact on not only on the renewable but also the unrenewable resources. That's the main thing I want to add.
Okay. Haley, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't think I have anything necessarily that I'd like to add. I feel like Kristen and Ricardo both gave really good arguments about their side considering the circumstance, because this is something that is like constantly developing, so it is hard to give an argument supporting mountaintop removal when there are so many like new advances in technologies that are allowing us to have things that will better the environment. So I feel like they both presented the argument very well.
Sky, how about you? Have anything you want to add?
I mean, not really. I got kind of like kicked out of the thing for a moment, so I didn't get to hear everything.
Okay. I think you caught some of what they had to say, but not maybe everything. Okay, anybody else in class want to add or comment? Everybody read a little bit about mountaintop removal. It was in the courseware. Okay, well, that's all that we had to cover for today. Was over the mountaintop removal. I think the utilitarians did a really good job of pointing out a lot of details on both sides of this. The rights argument is always harder to make because it doesn't depend so much on a lot of those details. But I like the bringing in the land ethic and Rawls's approach to things. And Haley, you had a little extra on your plate since you were doing both sides of it. Sky, I know you kind of got stuck without having your partner doing anything. I think the some of the material in the syllabus or in the courseware fills in a lot more on the religious aspects because that's where the mountaintop removal issue actually was brought up. And so you all may want to go back and take a look at that. So good job, everybody. And any questions before you guys take off? Okay, good luck in all your finals. Please don't forget to do course evaluations for all your classes. And I hope everybody stays healthy and sound, and hope to see those of you that are not graduating, hope to see you guys in the fall. So take care.
Thank you. Take care.